Hello and welcome back to MDG Media. We are bringing you coverage of the 2025 World Championships, the first one ever held in Europe and the largest tournament not only of the year but potentially in all of disc golf history by the numbers. This is round one front nine MPO feature card coverage. I'm Connor Wood and with me, Elias Luukkonen.
What's up, Connor? What's up, viewers? Incredibly nice to be here for this homeland World Championship tournament that we have the absolute delight to see, and we are exactly on the Nokia course right now in the Nokia ice rink, bringing this coverage as fast to you guys as possible.
Kicking off our card here, multiple-time world champion Paul McBeth looking to cement his legacy. Surely already in the Disc Golf Hall of Fame, a major here would put him up near the top.
Väinö Mäkelä, a Finnish champion, also a European junior champion, still looking for that first major title to his name.
Gannon Buhr, currently highest rated player in the world. He also just the day before this won the World Championship putting competition. We will see that on display here today.
And Mauri Villmann, one of the highest potential players in Europe. And obviously, I mean, just one of the best players we have. So casual on the green, incredible backhand forehand combo. And we're starting off the whole round of the first round of the World Championships on the legendary hole number one of the Beast. You have seen this before if you have watched any European Open coverage. 98 meters, it's not the hardest hole. You have that triple mando early that you have to hit. And then it's really all about angle and speed control. The gap is very wide, so you want to throw something straight with a little hyzer finish, ideally a putter, soft mid-range, and just settle it a little bit short. You're going to get a bit of a skip at the end. And it's a really good nerve checker hole because it's easy, but it's still missable.
First, the six-time world champion representing the USA, Paul McBeth.
Paul looking to find his 7th world champion title, a single one coveted by many athletes. Paul already great success at these tournaments. A surprisingly poor shot from Paul off the tee, but he hits the gap and he's in play.
2021 Finnish champion, Väinö Mäkelä.
Väinö obviously being one of the best Finnish players of all time. Looks like he's going to the standstill. He used to be known for this shot. Couple years back, he would play a lot of Finnish Pro Tour events, and that's really where he became popular in the Finnish, even mainstream media. And this shot is a strong one for him. Wants to hit it on a slight hyzer. You can see a flat release actually with a more overstable disc. Looks really nice. Just needs that distance control and a perfect start to his World Championship journey.
Next, the two times United States Disc Golf champion, Gannon Buhr.
It is not surprising Gannon has already found himself on the podiums here in the European stretch. Was second 2 weeks ago at the European Disc Golf Festival. Many have high expectations for him here, potentially searching for his first ever World Championship title. Finds himself just outside the circle, looking at the elevated basket sideways.
Next to tee, the 2023 Estonian champion, Mauri Villmann.
Mauri Villmann Being one of 2 players on the card that has won an Elite Series tournament this year. Besides Gannon, of course, he won the Konopiste Open earlier in the year. Just such a solid looking driver, and his putting when it's on is going to be incredible. 10 meters left there. Not only this hole is a great nerve check off the tee, but also with that elevated basket and a little slope behind the green. You can see Paul is just laying up. I'd say the common play from there. If you're outside of maybe 12 meters, usually you see some layups.
Gannon to net the first birdie here of the 2025 World Championships. Not the easiest putt, not the hardest either, but that one, tentative left side. He finds metal, but not enough. We proceed next to, I assume, Mauri. He has the honors now to get on the scoreboard. Beautiful putt. That is a classic Villmann delivery.
Yeah, not a sweat for him. Yeah, talking about Gannon's putt there, you said very tentative. In Gannon's own words, to make them a little bit prettier, then he said, I met him in Tallinn after just barely losing the win in Tallinn in the previous major. He said that he's going to be very displeased if he doesn't win the World Championships. So already setting extremely high expectations, and for good reason. He's the best player at this tournament. I think it's pretty fair to say. And he really needs to win in order to prove himself. And there you go, Väinö getting the local Finnish support. Love to see that on hole number 1.
The players and the spectators will walk to hole 2, a 116-meter par 3. You have an early Mando on the right side of the fairway, forcing players to play straight with a soft straight to right ending shot. You have OB lining the left side the entire way, as well as long. The most common play here is going to be a long forehand hyzer shape. Alternatively, the backhand turnover can come into play, but if it flexes out or stalls out, finds any sort of fade, it can very often lead to some danger. So the angle control is much more sensitive for the backhand line. They'll play the forehand if they have it available to them. I would expect maybe Väinö to play the backhand. Yep, we see that here. The other 3, I would expect to see a forehand. We'll see if I'm correctly reading the fairway here. Väinö up first.
Let's see, roller or air shot. Very flippy disc. I love the disc choice for the roller, as you want to make sure it curls to the right. Exactly as he has done. Beautiful shot. Gonna be an obstructed putt on a hole that surprisingly plays even easier than hole number 1. Hole 1 was playing a third of a stroke below par, and this one 0.4 strokes below par on average. So definitely a start. You need to be getting at least 1, ideally 2 of these first 2 birdies.
Mauri, the great long hyzer shape there. We saw him throw a slightly flippy disc with a lot of hyzer, never flipping it up to flat, but throwing it nose up ensured to keep it moving left to right. Paul a little bit closer to what could be considered a flat release with a more overstable disc, and both of them executing really well. Paul to absolute perfection.
So nostalgic seeing Paul play once again on the same course. I mean, you can find a decade of coverage, even more. I believe 2013 you can already find Paul playing on the lead card in European Open on this very same hole, very same course. As we have 4 incredible drives by our card, showing that a hole that used to be a long forehand now is really playing quite easy for the top level players.
Väinö drops to the knee, skims the leaf, but ultimately finds the chains. Great execution from an awkward stance. Important moment for him there. Keep his momentum. He's 2 through 2. We go now to Mauri.
On the stripe. And already a lot of people watching. I believe Jussi was before the tournament, even way before the tournament, he was setting a goal to get 10,000 people present on the final day. Or even more, and I think the marketing of this tournament has been so strong, specifically in the Tampere, Nokia area, that the goal might even get surpassed.
Speaking with staff on site, I've heard estimations of up to 15,000 people to be expected this week, Elias. Some insane numbers considering the town of Nokia only has a population of around 35,000 people. Pretty incredible.
Impressive stuff for sure. As moving on to hole number 3, that has been changed slightly from previous years. You have a choice to either go for a very short layup, pitch shot off the tee, or you can go, if you're comfortable flying 120 meters over OB, you can go for a big, slight turnover driver shot. The long one sets up for an eagle look if you want this into the protected sloped green. And yeah, really it's all about staying on the fairway on the first shot and then taking a big shot on the second, whether it's from a shorter drive or a longer one. Väinö looks like he's going for the short one.
Väinö, while comfortable on the forehand, rarely uses it for full power shots. That indicates he's simply playing for the safe layup, which he's done well there. Should have an open backhand swing. We go now to Mauri. Looking for a very similar choice here.
He has done well to push the long side OB, so if you go short, you want to get obviously as close to the long side OB as possible to make your second shot a little bit shorter. And Paul doing the same. It's about 80 meters to the short side of that in between OB. So you have to keep your disc shorter than 80 meters. And for that, all of these players are taking an overstable approach or an overstable mid-range on the forehand.
And although all 4 players, I think, are capable of getting to the second landing zone, I think it makes sense, particularly early in the tournament. You don't need to take that much risk, and this is still very much in play for birdie, given it's a par 5. Väinö now just looking for safe progress in the fairway.
Yeah, really surprising play. I think Väinö had the tree in his run-up or swing, because I don't think he would go for such a short shot. As you can see, Gannon going much more aggressive. This is the typical play. The shot really wasn't great, but you do see that slightly understable driver often being thrown from this position. If you want to fail or miss, you'd rather turn it over a little bit too far to the right than hyzer out early, because the right side offers a bit more space, as with the OB line being further from the middle of the fairway on that right side.
Paul uses the height to minimize the left to right movement, flips it up to flat and turns it over, does not give it the air underneath to fade. We go now to Mauri. This is not turning over or getting to flat. That is likely OB left. We can see if he went just a few meters further to that walking path, the OB line actually bends to the left and opens up. There's a lot more room if he had thrown it just a touch further, but that will find him out of bounds. We go now to Väinö. Low ceiling, tight gap, over 100 meters left into the green.
Going for the most aggressive line, trying to get the biggest possible reward. And look at this shot. 9 meters left for the birdie. Going short of the tee, super short on the second shot, and still having a chance.
That was an amazing shot. The extra progress on the second will really make this upshot easier. You can see for both Gannon and Väinö, they've done incredibly well, but they have to hit very precise gaps late in the disc's flight. Both of them find themselves into putting range, looking at the elevated basket towards the drop-off. Mauri after going OB.
Touchy shot required here. Not the touchiest shot thrown, but gets a great kick off that last tree. And all of the players are not really as close as they would like to be. This is one of the scarier basket placements on this course, as you have that drop-off behind the basket with the elevated basket and an OB behind. So you're actually going to be very interesting to see what's the speed that these guys run the putt with.
Paul now looking at the complete drop-off. Total danger if he airballs it. And just like that, finds himself OB long on the back slope. He'll be putting for bogey, I believe. We go to Villmann, just outside the circle, and very similar to his putt on hole 1. Similar height basket, similar distance. This one does not stick. Väinö for the birdie to maintain his perfect start.
Beautiful pitching stroke. Väinö having changed his putt in the couple of past years. Used to be a strong spin putter going from the waist. A lot of spin and speed on the disc. Now going more up and down with a straighter arm. As Gannon, important one here. Doesn't want to lose any strokes. And that's going to be good. Good for the birdie after the errant second shot. It's really what you want on this hole. Still 50% of the field is birdieing this one. So you're definitely losing to most of the top players if you're not picking this up.
Not only that, but both Gannon and Väinö will take 2 strokes to both Mauri and Paul with 2 birdies and 2 bogeys. The OB of hole 5 adding some additional strokes here for our feature card.
Hey guys, quick break. We just dropped our brand new 2025 MDG Media Tour clothing collection, which is now available on our online shop. You will find fresh apparel and a full lineup of discs. If you like what we do, if you want to support the project, this is the best way. See you on the website and enjoy the video.
We proceed now on to hole 4. This par 4 sits at 190 meters. You have a soft right to left slope throughout the entirety of the fairway and many small gaps that you need to hit. A lot of players are going to be throwing a power forehand ending to the right or a backhand turnover with an understable disc, trying to get their way to any sort of look into this green. The slope continues and even grows in severity. You have a very well guarded green. You can access it from a variety of ways, but effectively you have a straight shot or often a forehand hyzer. This can be played with 2 forehand hyzer shots if you'd like to, but it's much more about hitting the gaps and staying in the fairway than what shot you choose to shape. Just don't get a major tree kick and you'll be happy. Väinö just sneaks by. And exactly as I said, don't hit a tree, you'll be happy. That is a very common landing zone for a good forehand to be. Unfortunate, he's right at the base of the trunk of the tree there, but he will be comfortable for another forehand.
Gannon hitting the gap perfectly. This needs to avoid the biggest skip to not go too far up the hill. And you can see the position of that disc, it's so far, and he has the angle where he can pretty much throw just a flat to hyzering forehand. You could actually see that yellow stake that was close to his disc. That is the 50-meter stake. So his Gannon's tee shot was a good 125, 130 meter forehand.
Mauri as well, fantastic precision and power from his forehand. I think he is very underrated in terms of forehand prowess. When people speak about some of the best forehand throwers, I'm not sure if Mauri's name comes up as often as it should be, at least in Europe. Paul, also a fine shot in position.
Paul having a dedicated caddy. I actually saw them practicing on, I believe, the Sunday evening before the tournament. So his caddy is there for him for the entire week. Approach of Paul going with more untraditional backhand. So the reason why you usually want to throw a forehand on this hole, both on the drive and on the approach, is of course the shape, but also because of the slope. Because if you hit a tree on the forehand, you're usually not really kicking that far down the hill. But hitting a tree with a backhand can result in a glidey kick all the way down the hill to the left.
Mauri contending with the ceiling of the green, but does well to slow down in time. Just about circle's edge, I think, snuck his way inside. Väinö mogging the camera. He's on a perfect start and he knows it.
Gannon just outside. Gonna be a tester on this hole number 4. Playing the most difficult out of the first 4 Still well under par though, and that is the most perfect putt you could ever imagine. Looking good after that short miss on hole number 1.
Paul to bounce back after the bogey on 3. This birdie would eliminate that for a net par result through the last 2 holes. Looking down the hill with the slope. Fantastic putt as well. Had that even skimmed by, or less likely a complete air ball again, that could have gone very far, likely leaving him with a longer putt than he had there. Critical moment for him to correct on the green.
You have
the same chance now.
Yeah, Mauri for birdie as well. And still talking about Paul, you have to think that Paul feels some extra confidence on this course, as I believe he has 5 European Open titles, all played on this very same course. Little changes, of course. Mauri, 50-50 putt, could have stuck on another day.
If I had to say one note about Mauri's putts on 3 and 4, they were a little bit high in the chains, but as you said, a toss-up whether or not they stick. We proceed to hole number 5.
Shorter par 3 this time, only 102 meters, and even playing much shorter with the downhill grade. You have a severe right to left slope throughout the entire length of the hole. So ideally you want to fight against that slope, and how you do that is either a slight turnover backhand or preferably an overstable forehand hitting against the hillside. So you can see a lot of players going for an overstable mid-range, an overstable fairway driver with the forehand. Try to end up a little bit on the right side of the basket. And even with the backhand, you'd rather end 5 meters to the right than in line with the basket. Just because of the slope can easily pull you all the way down.
A good shot by Väinö there. For the backhand, you need to manipulate the understability. Try to land it flat or close to that. Anything that catches an edge can quickly roll away here. We see Gannon playing a very conservative angle early to the right. Unclear to me if he was trying for more width to the left or if he expected to flip it up more. I would guess the second, but from the release angle, unclear. We go to Paul for the backhand, and he slips off the tee in the release. The night before, there was a lot of rain, and these tee pads are still wet from the previous day. There's very high humidity as well, but by the afternoon's heat, they'd begun to dry up. We go to Mauri.
Mauri being a master of this kind of a forehand. You can see the angle control. He has thrown that 10,000 times before. And honestly, if I had to pick a player to throw this shot for me, I think Mauri would be up there as a top 3 pick in the entire world. And a lot of our US viewers who might have not seen Mauri many times before, you're in for a treat because he's amazing.
Very solid upshot there by Paul, not bringing the dangers of this green into play. Similarly laid up for Gannon, both of them looking at their par putts. Väinö still on the birdie streak, looking to continue that. And so pure as well, has strung together 5 in a row now. We'll see when and if he can be stopped right now, drawing energy from the local crowds. Mauri, this putt here for birdie.
In the center, into the brand new targets that we had for the Worlds. Really another showcase of how much effort the organizers are putting into this tournament. Personally, this is the biggest feeling tournament I have ever been a part of. And honestly, the biggest tournament that I've ever been a part of.
We see here one of the smallest late gaps of the course, hole 6, par 3, 100 meters. You have 2 gaps to hit, the initial one between the trees, and then this late gap to try and pierce into the green. You can throw almost anything here, from backhand to forehand, understable to overstable. This is a straight 100-meter shot, playing a little bit longer due to that late uphill, probably plays closer to 110. This is a preference for disc and speed and stability. Simply hit the gaps.
And yeah, him being more of a backhand player, obviously going for the straight backhand, and His throw is just looking perfect right now. The release, the angle, the speed, everything is great. And let's see if Mauri goes for the forehand here. Looks like he will. The forehand, I'd say it's harder to keep it fully straight until the end of the flight. And same thing there happening a little bit too early on the fade. The backhand really pierces through the fairway a little bit better. I guess the forehand, it's easy to hit the initial gap.
Gannon, complete misrelease there. Has fired it well long and right over towards the spectators. Even might be contending with the rough of the next hole, given the speed that came out with. Sometimes in disc golf, it's better to miss big than miss small. We go to Paul.
And Paul with a bit of a pull to the right side of the fairway. He's still gonna have a look. You can see the blue whiskers are the edge of C2. So he was 22 meters away there. I'm gonna be disappointed on a hole that honestly isn't nearly as easy as a lot of the holes we have played already. Only 30% of the field getting a birdie on this one. That's the lowest rate out of any hole we have played so far.
Just like that, Gannon in a more favorable spot than I had expected. As we see, putts for par now. Väinö absolutely parked, still has not yet gone to his disc.
Must be a very good feeling being Väinö. You have the best player in the world currently on your card. You have the arguably the greatest player of all time on your card. And you're just mopping the floor with them so far.
Tough to keep pace with a guy who is literally shooting a perfect round so far.
Yeah, I mean, he's not going for the eagle on hole number 3, which is doable. Yeah, shout out to Jackie Chen for getting the only eagle of the day on the said hole, hole number 3, par 5. And now we're moving on to hole number 7. And I said the last hole was the hardest so far, and this is the new hardest hole on the front 9. Playing at 191 meters, a little bit longer you have to throw, as it's quite severely uphill off the tee. And with that left to right slope, you want to throw something straight with a left finish. Ideally end up more towards the left side of the fairway than the right. And after a good drive, you have a very touchy approach where speed control is crucial, because there's a huge drop-off on the right side of the basket. If you go pretty much outside the bullseye on the right side of the basket, you're dropping down and your disc can end up even circle 2 outside of circle 2 if you go too far right on that approach.
A lot of pieces you need to fit together for the birdie here on 7. Väinö, another smooth tee shot. Heiser flips it down the gap. That late flare will open up his angle. Supreme shot there. Really in the nice sweet spot you would like to be for the optimal upshot. Mauri now.
You can see the slightly elevated tee pad on this hole. Tee pad used to be much lower. Used to be down the hill where you had more of a height to throw a higher shot. Now just a little bit more difficult than in some of the earlier iterations of the course. And actually the basket of this hole has also been pushed longer just for this year. So now the old basket placement was about 5 meters shorter. Just a lot of these sneaky courses, sneaky changes that have been made on this course to make it slightly more difficult.
And neither Gannon or Paul successfully hitting the initial gap. I would say that that shot is pretty much required if you're looking to birdie hole 7. See if they're able to prove me wrong. We go to Paul, looking to shape a forehand flex here. Has to control the finish over to the right. And I think he needs this to hit something. He hangs on just barely at the cliff's edge. I had suspected, given the height, and stability of that disc, he would find trouble. I think he has kept on the flat. Gannon, wow. Great shot there. Low, piercing, controls the speed beautifully to avoid the cliff's danger as well.
Mauri, this needs to keep turning. And this is doing exactly what you don't want to do on this very hole. The right side is the biggest danger. If you need to make a mistake, make it left, then you can at least make a new decision on your putt whether you want to run it against the dangerous green or not. And Väinö is exactly going to have that decision. 11 meters. If he airballs the putt, he's taking pretty much a guaranteed bogey. So he needs to be extremely confident that he will at least hit the basket if he wants to run it.
And I wonder if he wasn't shooting a perfect round, would he maybe make a different decision on whether or not to run that? Mauri gets his way up back to the green. Väinö dropping to a knee suggests to me he's not laying this up. He's trying to match his height of the release closer to the basket. What a delivery. It's up, it's down, it's all around the cage, and it is in. 7 through 7 so far. The man is fearless, Elias.
I just love to see it. You know, the Finnish crowd loves to see it. You can really hear it in the voices in the background. Just a couple tap-ins here. Once again, you can see that platform of the green being built or rebuilt for this tournament, just to extend that green a little bit further, closer to the cliff's edge.
Only Gannon and Väinö with the birdie. We proceed. Hole number 8. I would guess the easiest hole on the course. This 72-meter par 3 uphill probably plays closer to 90 meters. This will, for almost everyone, be an overstable approach disc on hyzer. The only thing you need to contend with are these hay bales, preventing you from accessing circle 1, or alternatively coming in a little bit too fast to this mounded green and catching some sort of roll either on the tee shot or the putt. But Elias, talk to us about birdie percent. I'm guessing it's huge.
I think huge might even be an understatement. We have 71% birdies on this hole.
Wow.
I have never seen such a rate on any hole in any tournament. And that's what you get when you have an easy hole and all of the best players in the world. Väinö parks it. And one thing about this statistics is only the A pool of MPO is playing this course today. So these statistics are from the 100 best players in the tournament. The bottom 100 players are actually playing at Tampere Disc Golf Center at this exact time as these guys are playing. And then for round 3, we will have a new mix of the 100 best scoring players throughout the first 2 rounds.
A great point there. Skewing the stats likely to some higher numbers. We saw Mauri access circle. Paul also completely parked. Paul also a guest on MDG's Chain Reaction for this event. After this video, make sure to go check that out if you haven't. Mauri Villmann making it look easy. It is for him. He was in the circle. In terms of C1 putting percentages, he is very reliable. And a quick cleanup now. Väinö continues his streak.
Yeah, 8 under through 8. It's a speed that you can't really match. Seems like nobody on the card and probably nobody in the field is able to match such a pace. This course obviously is very scoreable, but that sort of pace is unheard of. As we're moving on to the last hole of the front 9, 110 meters. This hole once again has been made just a little bit longer. It used to be maybe 7 meters shorter, where a nice hyzer forehand would almost always park the basket. Now, since the basket is a little bit longer, if you're going for that hyzer forehand, you have to push it a little bit more forward. I still say that the hyzer forehand is the best and the most common play, but actually a lot of players are also opting to go for that straight backhand now. Definitely more of the straight backhands in FPO than MPO. Väinö being more of a backhand player, still going for the forehand.
These shots often flirting with the left side OB and then coming back inbounds. Väinö had it a little bit inside, and that branch keeps him far from the basket, likely ending his perfect start. Gannon, much more pure access into the green, catches the late route to slow him down. He is just outside the bullseye, and a great line now. A good read available for both Mauri and Paul in terms of conditions. There was very little wind today. The temperatures were quite warm in the afternoon. Mauri does catch that left side. We saw Gannon's shot very much in between Mauri's and Väinö's. We go to Paul.
Yeah, that left side can be really tricky. You actually have to either push it exactly like Paul does, or even go fully around that birch tree, as Gannon did. So definitely a choice, a conscious choice that you have to make when you step on the tee pad, because it directly affects the disc and shot choice that you're taking with the forehand.
And Väinö, with that layup, will take his first par of the World Championships. Mauri, a long stab as well. Very conservative, though. There is Obi right behind, looking at the downhill from his angle. Of course, the crowd's eyes lingering.
Ending the front nine, we're coming to some of the more open holes now. So a couple of the next holes are going to be in the open. Great place for this gallery to see some huge shots. And overall, the Nokia course is really good for the gallery. That's, I believe, why we're playing the final round and also more rounds here than in the Tampere Disc Golf Center. And looking at the scores, you can see the field is absolutely shredding this course. I mean, it's not the hardest of courses, but these scores are truly impressive right now.
There is no doubt the players are here to play. We are here to comment. You are here to watch. The organizers are here to organize. We thank you for joining us here for this incredible coverage. Every single one of you, particularly our YouTube members on the MDG channel, you are directly supporting European disc golf coverage. Make sure to do all the stuff. Check out the MDG store for discs and merch. And otherwise, do nothing else other than leave a comment below and make sure to join us for the 5 rounds of coverage we are bringing you this week of the World Championships. We'll see you there.